Okay, good morning again. So, let us again go back to the lessons that we had last time, Arlan. So, if you're going back to the learning objectives or the most essential learning competencies, it's there. It's flashed on your screen. Number one is to design a research project related to daily life. And number two, writes a research title. So at the end of the lessons in our week three module, so you must be able to at least create a research title, qualitative research title. And then, of course, you have to provide justifications or reasons for conducting the research. And of course, states research question. So, pwede tayo dito magtagal ng onte para talagang at least makuha nyo ng maigi kung paano talaga gumawa ng research title. Okay, so last meeting, Arlan, ano yung napag-usapan natin? Can you please recall?
Yung saan po kukuha ng mga source.
Okay, sources of research, tama? Okay, so we
Yes
have
po.
talked about sources of research. Can you give one source of research, Arlan?
Pressing issues.
Okay, pressing issues on an individual, organizational, or societal level or success stories, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so an example of a research topic on an individual level is, say for example, the problem of low self-esteem at marami pang iba. Napag-usapan natin yan. I already posted a video on your uh, group. Okay, so you can review the video. Okay, one important one important skill that you must also acquire is of course how to narrow down topics, okay, because sometimes there are topics which are broad, okay. If you still remember, Arlan, we have broad topics in research. Say for example, smoking hazard. If you're going to think of it, smoking hazard is really a big topic. So what particular topic on and what particular issue on smoking hazards you want to pursue. Okay, say for example, it's benefits. Meron bang benefits ang smoking? Okay. O kaya naman, um, napag-usapan ng hazard. So, ano yung ano sa particular hazard? Is it physical? Okay. Or is it more of uh, psychological? Meron bang hazard kapag nang-smoke ka psychologically? Okay. So I have given you an example on this particular um, topic. Okay, so narrowing down. What are the techniques? Okay, for narrowing a topic into a research question. Okay, so this will be our discussion for this morning. Okay, two broad topics will lead you to nowhere. Okay? In order to narrow down broad topics to specific ones, you have the purpose or intent, your intent of the study must be clear. Okay? Ano nga ba yung intent mo? Okay, example of broad topics or like smoking hazards, lack of self-confidence. Oh, ngayon we have the COVID-19. Okay? So, for health hazards, okay, ayan no, smoking hazard. A specific topic na you should go into if you're going to do kasi smoking hazard is broad. So, a specific topic could be health hazard, okay, of direct smoking and indirect smoking. Pag direct, ibig sabihin, ikaw yung naninigarilyo. Pag indirect naman, ikaw yung secondary, di ba? Ikaw yung nakakalanghap ng usok. Okay, paano maiiwasan at paano magagamot? Okay, prevention and cure. Okay. So another example of broad topic, lack of self-confidence. Okay, so what specific topic for lack of self-confidence? So you can say, for example, this is an example, lack of self-confidence in adolescents. Okay, ano yung root causes, manifestations, and preventions. Okay, halimbawa naman, another example is COVID-19. Okay, COVID-19. So COVID-19 is also a broad topic. So to make it specific, so pwede siguro causes, COVID-19 causes, prevention, treatment, and care. O, di ba? Pwede yon. So COVID-19 causes, prevention, treatment, and care. So specific na yung topic mo, um hindi lang siya more on what's this? Hindi lang siya more on um yung COVID talaga. Okay, so meron ka na ngayong meron ka ng specific na pagtutuunan ng pansin. The causes, the prevention, the treatment, and of course, the care. Okay, so let's proceed. So what are the techniques in narrowing the topics? Okay, so will you please read number one? Yes, Arlan, papakibasa nga.
Examine the literature.
Number two.
Talk over ideas with others.
Number
3.
three.
Apply to, apply to specific contexts. 4.
And number
Define
four.
aim, define aim or desired outcome of the study.
Okay, do you have any idea about this four? If, for example, examine the literature. Anong ibig sabihin niyan sa palagay mo, Arlan? What do you mean by that?
The background information about the topic po.
Okay, very good. So, there are techniques in narrowing the topic. So, isa-isahin natin ito. So, number one, so we have examine the literature. So, we have published articles are, of course, excellent sources of ideas. Okay? So, yung mga published, so saan kayo, binigay ko na sa inyo kung saan kayo pwedeng kumuha ng mga published articles. Like, dahil ano naman ngayon, COVID, may pandemya ngayon, so hindi kayo makakalabas. So, you can also consult sa mga e-publications or mga e-libraries. Okay? Gaya ng Google Scholar. Okay? So, published articles are excellent source of ideas for research questions. Okay, so they are usually at an appropriate level of course, specificity. Pag sinabi natin specificity, they are, kung it's really specific on this particular topic. Okay, and of course, suggest research questions. Okay, it suggests research questions. So number one, say for example, replicate a previous research project exactly or with slight variations. Okay? So you can also explore unexpected findings you discovered in previous research. And you can also follow suggestions an author gives for future research. Di ba sinabi ko na yan sa inyo sa recommendation part? You can see their um, mga recommended future studies. Okay? So, there are several suggestions, okay? So number two is talk over ideas with others. What does this mean? So brainstorming, tama. Okay? So you can ask people who are knowledgeable about the topic. Okay? You can ask those people for questions about what's the thought, okay, of it. Do they have some opinions about this one? Okay? So not opinion really, but yung know-how kasi experts sila dyan. Okay? Pick out those hold opinions that differ from yours. Bakit iba yung perspektibo mo sa perspektibo niya? So you can seek that particular opinion and discuss possible research questions with them. Okay? So that is when we talk over ideas with others. So about applying to specific context. Pag sinabi naman natin applying to specific context, you focus the topic on a specific historical period or time period. Okay? So narrow the topic to a specific society or geographical unit. Say for example, kung sinabi Pasay City lahat ng senior high school, why not focus ka lang sa senior high school ng Pasay City East? Okay? So you also consider with subgroups or categories or people units who are involved and whether there are differences among them. Okay? So apply to specific context. So parang sinasabi dito na uh, you can narrow down or you can make the scope of your study a little bit smaller instead of doing the bigger scope. Okay, so you can narrow it down as specific geographical unit na lang. Okay? Minsan senior high school nga sa Pasay City is pwede mo pa siyang mapanarrow. Sinong senior high school o UM students. O pwede pa mapanarrow yun into grade 11 or into grade 12. Okay? So that is number 3. Apply to specific context. And of course, define the aim. Okay, define the aim or desired outcome of the study. So what does this mean? Will the research question be for exploratory ba to, explanatory, or descriptive study? Okay. So ano bang study na to? Does this study involve applied or basic research? So you have to define the desired outcome of the study. Okay? So that is the techniques for narrowing down a topic, for narrowing a topic into a research questions. Actually, um maraming mga research other topics of interest na pwede. Okay, halimbawa, ngayong mga panahon nga to, online selling or online business from varied marketing aspects like what do you sell online? Okay? Pwede rin pag-usapan yung consumer psychology or buyer behavior, lalo na yung pandemic, di ba? It's very evident yung mga online businesses kasi hindi nga nakakalabas yung mga tao. Okay? Uh, for the teenagers, lalo na ngayong pandemic na hindi sila nakakalabas, nahati yung attention nila sa online class saka sa mga online games. Okay, pwede rin siyang pag-aralan. Online games, the positive and negative effects on gamers. Okay, lalo na kapag um, kayo ay estudyante na nag-online class. Okay? So, hindi pa rin nawawala yung issues like poverty. Kasi ngayong mga panahon ng pandemya, walang trabaho yung iba. So, issues like poverty, transportation problems. So, ngayon, mga panahon ng pandemic na to, hindi masyado ang transportation problems because bibihira yung mga lumalabas. Pero nagiging problema ng uh, mga drivers, yung may mga ari ng mga sasakyan. Kasi nga, kukunti yung nakukuha nila kita. Kasi nga, yung mga tao ay hindi naman lumalabas. Okay, at uh, marami pang ibang topics of interest na pwede. Okay? So let's proceed. So do you have any questions, Arlan? I hope you are listening and you are getting my point. May questions ka ba, Arlan?
Wala po.
Okay, so I hope you really understand. Okay, now, so i-skip na muna natin ito. So typical research questions na tayo. Ano nga ba yung mga typical research questions? So ano yung pag-uusapan natin dito, Arlan? Qualitative research questions usually answers questions how and why. Okay? So it answers questions how and why. Majority. Okay? It answers the questions how and why. Okay. Example, how did social situation originate? Ayan. Ano pa ba? O, basahin mo nga number 2, Arlan.
How was the condition or situation maintained over time?
Yan, that's an example of a question, qualitative question. How was the condition, situation maintained over time, lalo na ngayong may pandemya? Okay, ano pa? Number three.
What are the processes by which a condition or situation changes, develops, or operates?
Okay, what are the processes by which condition, situation changes, develops, or operates? So these are typical research questions for qualitative researches. A different type of questions tries to confirm existing beliefs or assumption. And another type of questions try to discover new ideas. Okay, so since napag-ano na natin, napag-aral natin yung techniques for narrowing down a topic into research questions. So, sabi natin yung examine the literature, yung mga published articles, they are usually at an appropriate level of specificity, di ba sinabi natin? Okay? So, marami tayo doong pwedeng mapagkunan. Okay, makitaan. Okay, example of research question. So, gawa na natin yung example natin kanina on smoking hazards. Okay, so na-narrow down natin yan, di ba? So, into, ano ba yan? Yung direct and indirect. How to prevent and cure. Okay, ano na ngayon ang magiging research questions mo doon? What will be your research questions there? Okay? So number one, you can jot down this Arlan if you want. Okay, so kung ikaw ang tatanungin ko Arlan, so ano kaya ang gusto mong itanong doon sa smoking hazard? What will you ask about smoking hazards? So maybe one of the questions na itatanong mo is what dangers to oneself can smoking bring about? Ayan, so number one question na yan. Number two, syempre we're going to focus on how and why. Okay, so how is a non-smoker's health affected when in the process of people smoking? Ito na yung mga indirect. Okay, how is a non-smoker's health affected when in the presence of people smoking? Paano daw naapektuhan yung mga non-smokers sa presensya ng mga nag-smoke? Okay, so that's kasi 'di ba doon sa specific ano natin topic, direct and indirect. Okay, so number three, since may prevention and cure tayo, number three questions might be, ano ba, what medical interventions can address the problem of smoking? Pwede rin yon. Okay? So what medical interventions can address the problem of smoking? And number three, what psychological interventions can address the problem of smoking? O, di ba may psychological ano pa siya, interventions. Kasi according to studies, kasi ang pag-smoke mo, meron daw yung dahilan. Okay, psychologically, bakit nag-smoke yung tao. Okay? Ulitin ko, ano yung mga pwedeng research questions? So, what dangers to one's health can smoking bring about? Ito yung direct. Kasi di ba sa specific ano natin, topic. Pangalawa, how is a non-smoker's health affected when in the presence of people smoking? Okay? And now, letter C, what medical interventions can address the problem of smoking? And what psychological interventions can address the problem of smoking? Kasi 'di ba nasa ano 'yon? So if I'm not mistaken, 'di ba direct, okay, smoking hazards, direct, indirect, prevention and cure. So lahat ito madidiscuss doon sa mga tanong na 'yon. Okay, so doon tayo sa unlock of self self confidence. Okay? So doon tayo sa lack of self-confidence. So ano naman yon? Ano naman mga pwede natin itanong doon? Number one, What are the root causes of lack of self-confidence in adolescents? That's very basic. Kasi yun naman ang nasa specific topic natin. And D, what kind of behavior do adolescents who lack self-confidence manifest? Ano nga ba yung mga pinapakita ng mga estudyante na mababa ang self-confidence? Okay? And of course, um, what can the following groups of people do to boost up the self-confidence of adolescents? Ulitin ko. What can the following groups of people do to boost up the self-confidence of adolescents? Okay, so sino tong mga groups of people? So maybe the parents, the siblings, the church, the teacher, the guidance counselors, the peers. Okay, so ito yung mga people ang so you have already crafted your research question. What are the root cause? What kind of behavior? And what can the following groups of people do to boost up the self-confidence? So, baka tanongin nyo, bakit sir sabi nyo how and why lang ang pwedeng gamitin? So, ito kasi mga what questions na to, the response on this is still qualitative. Okay? So, kaya di ba sabi ko dati, hindi naman lahat ng what questions ay quantitative. So, there are also what questions which are qualitative in nature. Okay? So, doon naman tayo sa pangatlo. Ano ngayon? Sa COVID-19. The causes. Okay? So, of course, COVID-19. Number one question is, what is COVID-19? Okay? How do humans get the virus? Okay? What are the causes of COVID-19? Okay? And what are the ways to prevent the virus to affect human health? So, yun lang yung mga questions mo na pwede doon sa sa na yon sa COVID-19. Okay? So, ulitin ko, what is COVID-19? How do humans get the virus? What are the causes of COVID-19? And what are the ways of preventing the virus to affect human health? So doon pa lang sa doon pa lang sa mga questions na yon, you will already get uh you already get the answers. Okay? So you have to check on course your questions framing. Okay? So concrete questions or research questions must be congruent with the data collection procedures. Okay? So kung yung mga questions mo na yun, dapat congruent yan sa data collection procedures in data mo. Okay? So, research questions should be congruent with data collection procedures in data analysis. So, you have to understand, example, mga understanding in perceptions, practices, okay, so mga influencing factors, yan. So, basta may mga ganyang tanong, example, perceptions on the impact of low grades on a student's self-esteem. Oh, ayan. Impact daw ng mababang grades sa student self-esteem. So ano ang methods of data collection? So methods of data collection can be personal blogs or compositions and interviews, analytic methods and discourse analysis, conversation analysis among others. So marami. So pag-aaralan natin tong mga data collection na to. Okay? So uh we're going to learn from the data collection procedures. Okay? So we have, uh, aside from that, so balikan nga natin yung ating uh, MELPs. So kanina, sabi natin, pinag-aralan natin to. So provide justifications. So you at least what I'm expecting is you can now at least write a research title. Okay, so provide justification or reasons for conducting the research. Okay, so what are the factors that justifies conduct of qualitative research? Of course, um, Intent or purpose of the study. Okay, yan ang una-una nating tatandaan. Ano yung intent or purpose of the study? Okay? So bakit kailangan natin mag-qualitative research on an individual or in a societal level? Okay? So research is, sabi natin, is a systematic inquiry that brings about a better understanding of phenomena and eventually solutions to problematic social or behavioral circumstances. Okay? So, lalo na ngayon, one of the problematic situation now is the COVID-19. Okay, menace. Okay, so a study that focuses on the best way to prevent this. Okay, so needless to say, the situations that we need to improve on. Okay, so another one is of course qualitative study on ano naman, on community livelihood projects lalo na ngayong may pandemya kasi maraming nawalan ng trabaho. Okay? So, the findings can inspire other leaders to do similar projects in their respective localities and jurisdiction. So marami na, di ba? Lalo na ngayon yung community pantry, hindi lang man livelihood dyan, but it's a way of helping these people na nawalan ng mga hanap buhay para maka-sustain, maka-survive. Okay? So, what else? So, there is a justification checklist. Okay? So, ano ko tong checklist na to, I'll post it in your GC kung ano tong mga justification of qualitative study checklist. Okay, so score of 20 justifies the qualitative study. Number one is, sige, pasadaan ko lang muna ngayon and then I'll gonna be discussing this thoroughly next meeting. Itong justification of qualitative study using the checklist. Okay? So what are the factors that justifies conduct of qualitative research study? Okay, number one is credibility. Okay? So number one is credibility. Ano ang credibility? So this talks about the truth value of a qualitative study, its applicability, consistency, and neutrality. Okay? So, yan ang ibig sabihin ng credibility. Okay? And number two is validity. Okay, ano naman ang validity? Okay, validity refers to an in-depth description that shows the complexities of variables and embedding interactions in data derived from the setting. Okay? So, ang ibig lang sabihin ng validity is that how truthful or how correct is the result of your study. Okay? And another one, so we have a transferability. Okay, ano naman ang transferability? This is the applicability of one set of findings to another context. So, kailangan dito ng triangulation, which is the act of bringing more than one source of data to bear on a single point. So, ibig sabihin, hindi lang isang data ang kailangan. But of course, di ba yung sinabanggit ko, triangulation. The data from the participants, the expert's opinion, okay? And of course, your researchers' findings. Okay, so that is under transferability. At ang pang-apat is dependability. Okay? So ano naman ang dependability? Ang dependability naman, this refers to the researcher's attempts to account for changing conditions and the phenomenon chosen for study, as well as change in the design created by increasing refined understanding of the set. And of course, we have the last one, conformability. This answers the questions on, halimbawa, do the data help confirm the general findings and lead to implications? So, yun ang ano, conformability. So, credibility, transferability, dependability, and conformability are assured when the research design is well explained, when assumptions are stated, when there is much evidence from the raw data to show the connections, of course, between the findings presented and, of course, the real world. Okay? So, yeah. So, those are the factors that justifies conduct of qualitative research. I will repeat. So, credibility, validity, transferability, dependability, and conformability. Okay, so under uh, the justification or reasons for conducting qualitative research. And of course, the last one in the learning competency is stating your research questions. Okay, but before you can go there, so pasadahan muna natin itong research process na to. Okay, so anahin ko lang ha. Number one is formulation of overall questions. Ito ang susundan natin kung paano tayo um, makakagawa ng ating um, research. Okay, Flick 2002 elaborates on the formulation of the research questions in the research process. Okay, so pangalawa is formulation of specific research questions. We have the formulation of sensitizing concepts, selection of research group with which to study the questions. Sino nga ba ang magiging participants nyo? I think nabanggit ko na to sa inyo dati pa. Okay, and then we have selection of appropriate design and methods. Ano nga bang research design ang gagamitin mo? Is it phenomenology ba? Grounded theory ba? And other designs. And of course, evaluation and reformulation of the specific research questions. Yan. So, kailangan ko bang i-revise ang aking mga research questions? And then you have to collect the data. After collecting data, evaluation and reformulation again of the specific research question. Okay? Then analyze the data. Okay, so you have to analyze the data. As after analyzing the data, generalization and evaluation of the analysis. Okay, looking at the analysis or the results of the analysis, you can now generalize. And then formulation of the findings. And the last one, of course, sharing of findings. Okay, so that's it for the rest of the learning competencies that we have talked about before we proceed to the scope and the limitation of the research. Okay, so hanggang dyan muna. Thank you so much for, of course, listening. And I hope for those who have not attended my class, so I'm gonna be posting this in your messenger. Okay, so thank you so much and goodbye for now.